Now you may already know that I don't like making the same card over and over, so today I'm going to give you some hacks to making multiples and changing it up. Welcome to my Same But Different Christmas series in 2021, and as the name says, I do not want to make the same card over and over, but sometimes you just got to make multiples. So today I'm going to show you how to change it up and make multiples without making the same card over and over. So I'm going to be making 6 cards with you today, but you can certainly bump up the number and make as many as you need. So let's get your Christmas skates on because we've got lots to do. So my first hack, and probably the most important, is preparation. Now this is key. You need to make sure that you have everything that you need to hand and as much of it as you need to hand. And if that means sitting down, punching out the numbers and working out exactly how much cardstock you're going to be needing, then do that. If it's going to make it easier, there's nothing worse than getting near the end of a multiples project and having to go back and start again, or wait for something to arrive in the post, or you'll lose your momentum and it won't be an enjoyable process. So I like to make my own card bases, and I've got a A4 piece of cardstock. This is the American size. It's a Nina 110 pound weight, and I get all of these made. I usually have some to hand. I also will score them on my score tool. So the finished size of these cards is going to be an A2, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I'm going to be doing a lot of embossing today. So I have refilled my Versamark ink and I've prepped all my papers today. I'm either using 80 pound Nina or 110 pound Nina. Tip number 2 is to batch it out. Do all the same thing at the same time. So I'm going to start by doing all my stamping and heat embossing. When I cut these pieces of cardstock out, I made sure that I could fit 2 images on them. I like to stamp and then add the embossing powder. Now this is a rose gold embossing powder from Wow. It's an opaque embossing powder. And then I can tap away the excess. Now I don't heat set it now because I don't want to warp the cardstock. So this works really well. I can stamp my second image and then add the embossing powder. So as long as you don't accidentally touch the embossing powder because it's not set yet, I find this works really well. And then I can heat set everything at the same time, which is another hack. You guessed it. So the other thing of note here is that I did use my Misty tool, and this is one of my biggest tips. If you've got a stamp positioning tool, this is going to speed up the process for everything, and it's going to help prevent a lot of misstamping as well, so you don't have as much wasted cardstock. So the stamps I'm using today are from Concord and Ninth. I started with the Yuletide ornament, and this sentiment here, which also has coordinating dies, is called Big on Christmas. It's a fabulous sentiment set, and I'm pretty much using both of these sets for all of my cards today. And here is my next tip. Keep it simple. If you're going to be making multiples, especially if you've got time constraints, by using the same set of stamps or coordinating stamps or papers, anything throughout a set of cards, you know that they're going to match and make the decisions easier along the way. If you've kept everything simple and then you streamline it, it is going to be a lot faster process and more enjoyable. I have this little holly berry image that I want to stamp 4 times. And here's a tip. I'm not sure if you've seen this one before. Simply cut a piece of cardstock that's big enough to stamp it on 4 times and rotate it in the Misty. Now this Versamark ink will not dry out too quickly, but I wouldn't leave it for a long time. Once you've added the powder to it, you're fine. You can leave it off to the side as long as you don't accidentally touch it before you've heat set the powder. And that's another tip. Die cutting. Now this is a fabulous tip for speeding up and helping make multiples. If you've got coordinating dies, it is going to make the process so much quicker than fussy cutting everything out. So when it came to adding the colour, I decided to do a really quick and easy blend with some inks and a blending tool. And this is something that's really going to help speed things along. If you chose maybe to colour with pencils, I would recommend starting your Christmas cards maybe in January. And I do know people who do that. They're amazing, but I'm not that organised. So I would recommend choosing a nice, easy, quick way to colour. Maybe throw some watercolour down, as long as you had time to let it dry. And I did mask off the top of the baubles as well. Now these baubles I have the coordinating dies for, and like I said, that's just going to speed things along. I have just used the two colours here along with the rose gold embossing powder throughout all of the cards, and that certainly helps speed things along, because then I don't have to keep choosing what coordinates with what. And here's another tip. How about a 2-for-1? So what I've done here is kept the bauble within the die cut bauble within its cardstock, so that I could cut it down the center nice and straight. I thought it was easier to do it this way than try die. Otherwise I would have had to die cut each one separately, and that would have been so much slower. So if there is a way that you can get a 2-for-1 out of your images or out of your cards, maybe with a die cutting technique. I know Ardith does some amazing multiples and videos for multiple card making, and I will try and remember to link her video below, but she's an inspiration when making multiple cards, so she has lots of tips and techniques to share as well. Alright, so I'm going to do a little bit more die cutting. There's lots of die cutting here and there's lots of heat embossing. I thought it'd be easier to die cut the panels for the front of my card, but you could certainly just use your paper trimmer to cut these out as well. And I used some A2 layer dies from Waffle Flower for that. Now I wasn't really happy with the colours that I'd coloured the baubles. I went from a pale mood to a bright mood. So I did come in and add a little bit of extra shading just with a smaller blending tool and some brighter colours. And everything that I've used today, I will put links in the video description below. And I'd like to thank you if you do choose to use those links, because they are affiliate links, and I do appreciate your support of my channel. And I will also have lots of pictures and all the links at my blog as well. So once I finished stamping out all my sentiments, got all my pieces together, got all my baubles ready to go, and my holly berries, my panels, everything was all batched out in piles ready to go, I decided to prepare my card bases. So I actually came in and used my Misty tool again for this, and basically chose a sentiment that would work and stamped out all the insides of my card bases. And these are going to be top folding cards, and this is the reason why I hadn't pre-folded them. It just makes them easier for me to stamp in the Misty. And then I do have a little stamp that I put on the back of my cards as well, so I decided to make it easier, set it up in the Misty and stamp that out as well. This is just one of the freebie ones that Altenew send out to their customers. If you've bought from them, they do this, I don't know, it seems like about once a year or so, and I just love these stamps that I can put on the back of my cards that I create, saying that I made them myself and really personalizing it, and someone then will know that this is a handmade card just for them. And I do use a Teflon bone folder to crease
My cards, because they're such a heavyweight cardstock, this works really well. It doesn't leave any shine on the cards. These are not the cheapest of tools, but I make a lot of cards and I make all my own card bases, and seriously, they last for years. So well worth the investment for me, for sure. So I have kind of just mixed up my elements and images and sentiments and created the panels that I'm going to be putting on the front of the cards. When you look at your stamp sets and your sentiment sets, have a think about what might work. Create as many cards as you want. So have a look at the images and sentiments and what is going to look really cute or fun on a panel that will sit up on the front of a card. Make a bunch of images, color them up, make a bunch of sentiments, stamp them out, cut them up and get them ready to go. Create your panels, and then all you need to do is layer these up on top of your cards, ready to go. It's really easy. You're not going to end up with exactly the same looking cards. I mean, obviously if you want to, you can recreate the same card over and over. That can work really well, and I recommend, if you're going to do that, do a test card first and make sure that you're happy with it, and that way you know exactly what process you're going to need to flow through to recreate that same card over and over. But for me, I get bored really easily, so I like to change it up. So by just creating all my images, all my sentiments and everything, and then layering them up, working it out on the front of a card, I have a lot of fun creating the design as well as getting a different look along the way. So I hope you've been enjoying this Same But Different Christmas card series 2021 this year. This is my 5th video this year, so if you have missed any, there is a playlist on my YouTube channel, and if you like today's video, please click on the like button. If you haven't subscribed, I'd love it if you did that too. And right here I've linked 2 videos from my series in the previous years, so I look forward to seeing you there. Till next time, happy paper crafting. Bye.